Please come on in.
Don't worry, I won't kick your ass. That's just something Simon wanted to scare you with, to clap with for me. All right. My idea was to tell you something today that you will hopefully be able to take into practice as well, at least in small parts in your own business or e-commerce. But of course, at the same time, increase your insight into customer behavior online. So we've been doing this survey for the past 3 years now, and it's actually starting to become pretty interesting because it's kind of a time series that keep adding on data from years back. So hopefully in the near future, after gathering a few more years of data, we will be able to predict something regarding the future from that as well. But we'll look into that in a couple of years, but let's see what we found out now in this year's survey. So one major thing, of course, is that how widespread e-commerce is actually today. You can see that 80% of the consumers that are over 18 of age actually have purchased something during the past year from a web shop. And actually, we can increase that 80% to 88% if we add consumer-to-consumer type of platforms, being tori.fi or Nettiauto or platforms like these. Then we can almost go to 90%, 88 to be exact. So I'm pretty sure that's pretty close to the same amount of people that actually have access to internet in Finland. So it's kind of a major coverage if you think about it that way. So, of course, everybody who's in e-commerce is looking into conversion. That's the key thing, of course. But we still have major problems because 51% stated in the survey that they actually interrupted a purchase due to, well, either technical issues or simply the purchase process was just too difficult. And these are really basic things, and I'm sure everybody is aware of these. But still, that's the two major reasons for interrupting your purchase. So, looking into the numbers behind, it got me really thinking, like, how can this be? What's the reason behind this? Of course, I don't have the ultimate answer, but with the assumption made that e-commerce is developing all the time, better platforms, better partners, and more understanding of the purchase process, making it streamlined and simple for end customers. But still, 51% this number has been increasing during the 3 years we've made this survey, actually. So it's actually getting worse, if you can say it like that. And what's the reason behind that? Well, I think one big reason is that actually the expectation level has been raised so high that actually something that was okay 3 years ago, or maybe 2 years ago, it's not good enough anymore. People are expecting, they've had great experience from different shops, and their expectations are raised to that level. And then if you can't match that, it's not good enough. The intolerance of consumers is growing faster than the technical capabilities and the understanding of purchase process. I think that's pretty interesting. And of course, as a payments company, I need to talk about payments as well a little bit. So, like I stated before, conversion, of course, is one of the key things the key thing for e-commerce. But how about payment methods and how are they related to conversion? Well, we can see from the survey that it's pretty clear that certain payment methods, of course, are dominating in Finland. That's pretty clear that direct bank payments, that's the biggest single payment method. But then there's much more widespread different payment methods that people appreciate and prefer. Let's say mobile payments, and there's plenty of mobile payments. So the key thing is that if you want to optimize your conversion in your web shop, you need to offer enough payment methods. Maybe the point isn't that because there's been dialogue that maybe you should just offer a few simple payment methods. and that's it. That's streamlined. But then it fights against the idea that everybody has their own preference. Maybe we can take it a bit deeper into like to get some data from our survey, for instance, and go deeper under the surface to look at the problem. Because we actually have in the survey pretty specific information how different customer profiles prefer payment methods, for instance. So depending on age, gender, income levels and such, there are actually pretty big differences. And just to mention a few was that, women like invoice, for instance, much more than men. I don't know the reason behind that, but that's what the statistics imply. And then again, men like to use credit cards. These are just two very simple examples for you. You can go much more deeper into detail, but the point that I wanted to make is that if you don't know your customers, you don't know what to offer them as products, but also payment methods, right? So if you know you're going for a certain segment, make sure you know what payment methods they prefer, and then maybe even if you want to offer all the payment methods, make sure that the ones that are easily accessible when you enter the checkout is the ones that have the biggest popularity for your segment. So lately there's been plenty of discussion about free returns. I'm sure a lot of you have read the newspapers last week and maybe even talked about this, and also before. A lot of discussion. Are free returns reasonable? How about people that just order stuff and return and they don't have any intention to even keep the products and so forth? So I kind of assume that it's okay to say that this is the hot potato of e-commerce right now because it's so much debated. And when you look at the fact that 91% of people that bought something during the last year online think that free returns, that's a big thing, or at least relevant thing. It helps them to make the purchase decision in the end. So it might change, and I'm pretty sure it will change over a few years, maybe 5 years. Maybe there will be a limitation that you can only make 5 or 10 free returns per year, or maybe there will be no free returns, or maybe it's a thing for good. Something that we got so used to that it's not even possible anymore to give up. But the returns, that's a big thing, and even if they cost you a lot of money in e-commerce, in direct and indirect costs, it's something, of course, that you can optimize, and maybe you can automate some processes, but it's simply impossible to completely get rid of the costs. But you can hopefully make the process better. But a subcategory of returns actually is reclamations, in my mind at least. And I think reclamations, that's the biggest thing that in the survey I personally thought that this is actually one of the things that's pretty easy to cut down your costs by handling reclamations in a better way. So what I mean is that in the survey, 18% stated that they returned goods because of reclamations during the past year. But when you take that 18%, actually 55% of those people said that they wouldn't have returned the goods if they were offered a partial refund on the product. And to maybe further evolve that thought, so maybe everybody can understand what I'm talking about, is the fact that, like, the idea of, let's say you order something, it's maybe a refrigerator online, and it has some scratches or something minor on it that it doesn't prevent you from using the product, but maybe you don't want to pay full price for a scratchy door or something like that. So instead of returning the product, the company has to get the logistics company to come and get your refrigerator and give you a new one, and then they need to sell the old one that's with the one with the scratchy door. They need to sell maybe heavily reduced price, half price or something. So it gets really expensive actually to handle reclamations, of course depending a little bit in what business you are. But instead, a few photographs and a short description why you want to return the product, and instead the merchant can easily state that, okay, we'll refund you, let's say 30% if you keep it. And it's simple. You save nature and you save money, actually. It's a double win for merchants. Just a simple thought. And I think there's many, many more things you can actually work with in reclamations to make the purchase process better, the user experience better, and actually save money and save nature. So I mean, you're adding up a lot of good things that you can do better. And yeah. And of course, choosing that payment or outsourced partner in general, but payments, I guess that's one of the biggest completely outsourced parts of your e-commerce. It's always taking a leap of faith. You need to have trust in your partner. You need to find the right solution for you. You need to believe that they will deliver. That's the key thing, and it's a question of trust. And we like to think, I know this is a bold statement, that make payments the best part of e-commerce. I'm pretty sure it's pretty hard to make something the best part of e-commerce where you actually give your money to somebody else. It's a challenge, but we're happy to take it up. But the idea of making payments the best part of e-commerce, of course, is pretty much related to what I just spoke about. You put a lot of money into marketing and search engine optimization and whatnot to get people to your website. And the conversion rate from there is, of course, the key factor. But the last thing you do is pay in the web shop. So you need to really put focus on payments, that it's suited for just your customer profile, but also that it works smoothly, no technical issues, and so forth. So understanding your customers, getting the data, and optimizing the checkout page just for your needs. That's one of the most important things. And how do you get there? Well, I'm not stating that we are almighty, but if you have a look at the survey, I'm sure you can get some ideas and further develop your purchase process in your web shop. And of course, if we talk about the whole customer experience, refunds, reclamations, all that's something that's maybe slightly overlooked, because you look at the conversion rate, but then you need to put a lot of focus also on the last part, the last mile, if you may. So return handling, refunds, and reclamations. I think that's the major thing for the near future, what you can do better in e-commerce. That's, like I already stated, there are so many good plus upsides on that. Look into that, and maybe we can grow e-commerce altogether much bigger and stronger in Finland, and make that our trademark in Finland, maybe. And just to recap a little bit on what I spoke about earlier already. So there's 4.5 million potential customers in Finland that we are talking about, people over 18 years of age now. And 80% of these actually bought something online. But the thing is, where's the potential actually? You think that if we already reached 80% or 88%, you might wonder, where's the potential? We've reached almost everybody already. What's the point? Well, actually the point is, of course, in the frequency people buy. Because now there's roughly 3.6 million people buying annually online. But just a little bit under less than half of them make over 10 purchases per year, and the rest, a bit over the other half, then they don't make more than a few purchases per year. So I think there's major potential in that segment. They're getting into the whole e-commerce thing. They're buying more older age groups. That's one of the bigger growing segments. So give them the good customer experience that they want and need. And give them the good warm feeling and comfort to buy things online. I think that's where the biggest potential lies, besides, of course, that the rest of the 20% that haven't made purchases online yet. So hopefully what you remember at least from this is that make sure you know your customers, because it's a big thing. And the way you get to understand your customers and know your customer profiles is, of course, looking into our survey and maybe some other surveys as well. I'm not an expert in those, but I hope to see a lot of you guys coming over to our. We're standing over there with the Svea sign. You can get a copy of the survey, and if you don't have time or there's so many people wanting the survey, you can also download it from svea.fi/survey. So if you have interest in that, please give us a shout or download the survey. Or if you have any spontaneous questions, as Finns usually do in these type of situations, please go ahead. Oh, I kind of assumed that as much. Well, thank you.